First, it was an historic handshake. Then President Trump and Kim Jong-un signed on to an agreement to begin the process of denuclearizing the Korean Peninsula.
We also agreed to vigorous negotiations to implement the agreement as soon as possible. And he wants to do that.
Mr. Trump also offered a bold concession, agreeing to suspend joint U.S.-South Korea exercises.
Yeah, we've done exercises for a long period of time working with South Korea. And we call them war games, and I call them war games, and they're tremendously expensive. The amount of money that we spend on that is incredible.
It's been a head-spinning diplomatic turnaround. Just months ago, the two sides were calling names and rattling sabers, but now what could be a breakthrough? Lawmakers on Capitol Hill are hopeful but cautious about Kim Jong-un.
It's just the beginning. Yeah, it's just kind of an agreement to continue talking, and which I said earlier, as long as you're talking, you're not fighting, and that's a good thing.
Working with him is like trying to hand feed a shark. You can do it, but you have to do it very, very carefully.
Right now, there's not much on paper, so the big question, what's next? Experts believe North Korea has enough material for up to 30 nuclear weapons, and there are up to 100 sites spread throughout the country that inspectors want to access.
The number one thing that U.S. officials would want is to physically inspect a warhead.
The U.S. wants every nuclear weapon destroyed and the parts shipped to a lab in Tennessee. That process alone could take up to 10 years.
And then you would have to search all the rest of North Korea to make sure there was nothing that they did not declare.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is traveling to South Korea and China to brief officials on what happened. In the meantime, Mr. Trump says his eyes are wide open and his diplomatic carrot and stick approach will continue.
The sanctions will come off when we are sure that the nukes are no longer a factor.
Any agreement would require the U.S. to be able to verify any denuclearization. So how can you do it?
Well, it's going to be achieved by having a lot of people there. And as we develop a certain trust, and we think we have done that.
Now, the president has said more meetings will need to happen in order to implement these agreements, and he's invited Kim Jong-un to the White House at some point in the future. In the meantime, Secretary Pompeo is headed to China to brief leaders there. Dana.